Hello, welcome to my high leverage practice presentation on social, emotional, and behavioral. My name is Jacqueline Martinez, and I chose to do this presentation on the article called Designing and Implementing Group Contingencies in the Classroom. The reason that I chose to do this assignment on this article is because I am interested in understanding what strategies there are to be able to have more control over my classroom as a whole, rather than just each individual student. What this article focuses on is a group contingencies. It shows how to be able to go about being able to implement it in a classroom as a whole. And as stated in the article that I was able to get this information from, it says typically groups or teams of students are awarded for exhibiting appropriate or desirable classroom behaviors, rather than being punished or reprimanded for exhibiting inappropriate or undesirable behaviors. This article gives us a laid out explanation on how to design group contingencies. A key teaching practice that I was able to get from the whole article is that building an adequate group contingency requires 7 steps. For the classroom when making them based off of the students. They are to choose groups, determine how groups earn points, decide how you will award points, choose who awards the points, determine a schedule, select rewards, and these are the 7 steps. These 7 steps allow for students to be able to be guided where the goals are at and where you want the students to be with their positive behavior. Step 1 being getting a target is where we are able to show what is wanted to what is being expected to the students. Step 2 is choosing groups. This approaches cooperation. Step 3 is determining how groups get points. There are 3 ways that a group can get the points, and it can be either interdependently, dependently, or independently. Step 4, deciding how you will get points. This is done by either a reward system or a response cost system. Step 5, who awards the points. This is either kept by a group member or by the teacher. Step 6, determining a schedule, how long the reward or response system should last. And lastly, step 7, selecting a reward, either for all groups in different sizes based on the points earned, or a major one for the winner. My key teaching practice number 2 that I was able to learn off of this article is how to be able to apply this to disabled students or students with disabilities. Being able to adapt group contingencies may require for there to be a bit more effort with students with disabilities, but it allows them to be able to be included and allows them to also have systems that allow for better behavior and targets to be met through this strategy in a general education classroom without isolating them. This is where the multi-tiered system comes into play. This allows for special and general education teachers to work together with students or students with disabilities. Based on the article that I read, it says school-wide positive behavior intervention and supportive is a decision-making framework that guides the selection, integration, and implementation of evidence-based academic and behavioral practices for improving academic outcomes for students. The SWPBIS allows for there to be the implementation of 3-tiered approach. Focusing on Tier 1. Tier 1 looks into preventing behavior frequently done by students with disabilities and being able to help them in general education classrooms. The SWPBIS works under simple protocols like the good behavior game. This allows for students with or without disabilities to participate in a game-like strategy. The teacher divides students into groups, explains what is expected and what is unwanted behavior. Whenever a member of the group misbehaves, that group earns a point, and after a certain amount of After a certain amount of points that aren't received, there is no reward given. This way, the group consistency supports the GBG and improves student behavior. My text-to connection, I was able to get these two citations out of both the course book and the article and the way that they relate. My course book citation being this: Tier 1 SWPBIS instruction and supports make clear to all students what the school expects from them. Best practice is to ensure these expectations are aligned with values of all members of the school community. Tier 1 supports focus on establishing and teaching school-wide expectations and school routines and recognizing appropriate behavior across the entire school. And my article citation being, for example, if a student with a behavioral disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is in a classroom with a group contingency in place, the behavioral goals on the student's individualized education program can be incorporated into a universal program. The way that these two connect both my course book and the article is because they both focus on the SWPBIS protocol to help students with disabilities to be able to build towards having appropriate behavior in general education classes. Both the course book and the article focus on the protocol to be able to help students in their classroom behavior implementing the Tier 1 through the SWPBIS. When reading the article based off of the knowledge that I had because of the textbook, I could relate the two. But before reading both the book and the article, I could not fully understand how to do group contingencies with general education students and disabled students. But I have been able to grasp onto a better understanding because of being able to read and connect both. My text-to-world connection. This article shows us how to be able to design strategies to promote good students' behavior in a classroom as a whole. It reminds me of our community because of the way that either we as a whole do a good job taking care of it, or we all together as a whole suffer the consequences. I related group contingencies to the world in the way that it's also something that is used in workplaces. For example, it can be through bonuses as a whole team if deadlines and a good job is being done. I have been able to see this strategy be implemented in a classroom during an internship that I have done with a student that had a disability, but the way that I am able to implement it more in a personal way is in my Sunday school class with my students. The students are encouraged to bring Bibles, behave, and answer questions. All the students in my class have an all-classroom chart where students receive stickers every time the expectations are met. It pushes them to want to meet the goals to be able to receive that overall classroom reward. The information from the article allows me to be able to promote inclusion in my classroom because it's taught me that through different protocols and a bit more work, you are able to include students with disabilities and also encourage them to have better behavior through the same ways you would with students in a general education class. Text-to-self connection. Being able to learn more about group contingencies and how to design them has allowed me to be able to have a deeper understanding to understand that there is always an extra bit of work that can be done to help out students, especially when it comes to students with disabilities. I've learned to be more inclusive by taking into consideration the different cultural norms for each student. With the group contingencies, I would want to be able to also take into consideration students' cultural backgrounds and how it would affect their learning if this strategy is implemented. How I would be responsive would be by being able to see how each of the students reacts to the designed group contingency in my overall class. And these are my references. Thank you so much for listening.